When you are older, there are 6 terms that you should never utter if you want to maintain your connections and respect. Have you ever pondered the reasons behind why certain elderly persons appear to gradually withdraw into themselves? As we get older, the words that we say hold more significance than we are often aware of. When we speak, every sentence we say becomes a mirror of how we perceive ourselves and how we would like other people to perceive us. However, here is the reality. Some phrases that we use frequently without giving them much thought can gradually drive people away. On the other hand, they generate feelings of disconnection rather than connection, shame rather than gratitude, and pity rather than respect. Not a single person is being blamed or shamed in this video. It is about assisting you in recognizing how particular phrases can subtly damage the very relationships that you value the most. And more crucially, how to replace such phrases with terms that welcome connection, compassion, and dignity. This video will lead you through 6 statements that, when repeated over time, can make the people around you feel helpless, misunderstood, or even unwelcome. These phrases are fairly innocent, but they can have unintended consequences. It is not animosity that inspires these comments, rather, it is pain or habit. However, the influence that they have on the relationships you have can be significant. That being said, make sure you stick around until the very end because each of these phrases comes with a significant twist. We are going to discuss the reasons behind why these words have an effect on other people, the manner in which they do so, and the ways in which you can alter them without altering who you are. It's possible that by the time we're done, you will not only learn how to retain people near to you, but also how to strengthen your relationships in ways that you never anticipate. It's time to get started. "I'm just a burden" is the phrase that comes in first place. One of the things that might be said after the age of 70 that is one of the most quietly harmful is, "I'm just a burden." Although it may originate from a state of vulnerability or tiredness, the impact that it has on other people is significantly more significant than we frequently recognize. When you speak these words, what you are actually doing is putting an emotional burden on the people around you, compelling them to bear not just the difficulties you are experiencing but also the hopelessness you feel with regard to those difficulties. In spite of the fact that they may not express it verbally, it causes them to experience feelings of helplessness and even shame, as if no matter what they do, it will never be sufficient. Such pressure has the potential to gradually erode the connection that you and your partner formerly felt. I would want to tell you about Harold, a man who is 78 years old. Every time his daughter came to visit, he would always utter this identical statement to her. "I once met someone who did this." It was his way of telling her, "I know you've got your own life. It is not necessary for you to become responsible for an old burden like I am." Although he believed he was being attentive, he was unaware of how much it upset her to hear it and how it made her feel. He felt he was being considerate towards her, to the extent that her love and effort were not appreciated, as if they were of no consequence, not because she loved him any less, but rather because she felt defeated, as if she was losing the parent. She ultimately started phoning him less frequently. Once upon a time, she was aware of his own feelings of worthlessness. "You may believe that you are being truthful when you remark that I am nothing more than a burden. Nevertheless, what other people hear is that you should not care about me." And that message, regardless of how softly it is delivered, has the potential to drive people away. The vast majority of people seek to be of assistance, to be there, and to spend their time and space with you. To put it simply, they do not want to have the impression that their presence makes matters worse. And when you minimize your own worth, it can give people the impression that they are failing you, even when they are making an effort to do their best. Rather than that, attempt this shift, which is to say, "Thank you for showing up." It has a great deal of significance. Even a simple remark like that can instill a sense of purpose and connection in the minds of others. In addition to letting them know that their presence is important, it does not make them feel obligated. And perhaps most crucially, it ensures that love and intimacy continue to flow in both directions, thereby keeping the door open for them to do so. In no way are you a burden. You are an individual who has lived through decades of experiences, including experiences of grief, triumph, and wisdom. You shouldn't limit yourself to a single statement that causes other people to forget how much more you still have to offer. It is important to speak words that remind both other people and yourself that you are still someone who is worth turning up for. In the second place, the expression that I used to use. Few phrases have the ability to create a greater gap between generations than the terms that were used during my time. Despite the fact that it may appear to be a harmless method of sharing recollections, when it is used excessively or with an excessive amount of abrasiveness, it can give the impression of being dismissive, judgmental, or stuck in the past. This particular statement frequently prevents the very connection that you are attempting to establish from occurring. Despite the fact that stories from years gone by have worth, this can give younger people the impression that they are being taught rather than heard, and that they are being compared rather than accepted. And when that occurs on a regular basis, individuals begin to withdraw from the situation. This is not because they do not care, rather, it is because they do not feel comfortable being themselves in your presence. Please allow me to tell you about Donna, a woman who was 71 years old and whose grandson had recently begun his first job after graduating from college. He described how difficult it was to maintain a balance between his home life and his professional life. And she answered by saying, "Back in my day, we didn't complain, so we simply went ahead and did it." Her intention was good, and she believed that she was providing support. Her grandson, however, left the conversation with the impression that he was misunderstood and criticized, and that his challenges were not legitimate. Over time, he stopped opening up, and Donna was unable to determine the reason for this change. The truth is that when you begin a sentence with, "back in my day," what other people typically hear is that it does not matter what you are going through at the moment. It disregards their actuality without any purpose of doing so. Furthermore, even if your objective is to impart knowledge, it is possible that it will not be received in that manner, particularly among younger people who are looking for connection rather than criticism. This one remark has the power to transform a comforting moment of vulnerability into a chilly wall of silence. Having said that, this does not imply that you should stop telling your story. Absolutely not at all. You should value your experiences. To avoid framing them as a comparison or a criticism, you could try stating something along the lines of, "I remember going through something similar once. Are you interested in learning more about it?" And instead of interrupting the conversation, this minor adjustment enables it to continue. It is a sign of respect. Because of this, there is room for both your tale and theirs to coexist side by side. When you lead with openness and interest, people respond to what you have to say. It is safe for them to be near you. They get back to you. You have not changed from the wise and experienced spirit that you have always been. However, now that you have spoken, you are creating space for other people to join you in your world rather than driving them away. I would appreciate it if you could use the second comment section below to let me know that you are continuing watching this video and that you find these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. 3. The question, "What's the point?" is the third phrase. Within the phrases, there is a hushed melancholy that conceals itself. What exactly is the point? At first glance, it appears to be a sign of resignation, a time characterized by exhaustion or exasperation. However, when it is said frequently, particularly by someone who is beyond the age of 70, it becomes more than just a passing observation. To me, it sounds like giving up on the situation, and the individuals who are in your immediate vicinity are able to hear it very clearly. Even if you are unaware of it, a sense of hopelessness, exhaustion, and a lack of meaning is what they hear. In addition, throughout the course of time, it generates a ripple effect that extends well beyond the current instant. It depletes the energy existing in the room. The people who care about them are left unclear of what to say or how to assist them. Consider the case of Frank, who is now 76 years old and used to be the focal point of the party. On the other hand, after the death of his wife, his talk gradually changed. In response to his daughter's invitations to go out, he would ask, "What's the point?" When his friends contacted, he would let them know that there was no longer any point. Additionally, the invitation was later withdrawn, not because they did not care, but rather because it was painful to listen to him speak in such a manner. As a result of his statements, they experienced a sense of helplessness, as if nothing they could contribute would make a difference. When you ask, "What's the point?" this is the harsh reality that you are facing. In a certain amount of time, people might start to believe you. They might give up altogether. They could withdraw, not because they are frustrated, but because they are emotionally exhausted, for the simple reason that they love you and it pains their heart to hear over and over again that your existence is meaningless. To tell you the truth, there is always a point to be made. There is still meaning in your words, in your presence, and in the quiet ways that you show up, even if the world has changed, even if your routines have altered, even if your roles have shifted, and even if your energy has decreased. It is essential to keep in mind that your value is not derived from the things that you accomplish. What you bring to the table is the story that only you can tell and who you are. Consequently, rather than asking, "What's the point?" you could want to ask yourself, "What would bring me a little joy today?" That one question has the potential to completely alter the course of your day. The door is opened for insignificant deeds and minuscule glimmerings of purpose. And when you share those small sparks with the people who care about you the most, they have the potential to reignite the connection between you and them. It is desirable for people to be in the company of someone who is still inquisitive, still reaching out, and still present. It's not because you have to be happy all the time, rather, it's because people are drawn to hope, even in small amounts. The fact that they are reminded that their efforts are important, that their presence is appreciated, and that they are not the only ones who wish to keep the light on is a powerful reminder. Be sure not to undervalue the impact that a question can have. This sentence should not be allowed to define your days. There will always be a point, and altering a few words can sometimes be the first step in reaching that point. You would not comprehend the phrase that comes in at number 4. The words that you would not understand have a special quality that makes them painful. When you first look at it, it could appear to be an innocuous defense, a method of shielding oneself from criticism or evading a challenging explanation. However, over the course of time, this term turns into a barrier, a kind of emotional wall that prevents people from getting close to someone. When anything is done with the intention of conserving energy or avoiding discomfort, it gradually conveys the message that genuine connection is not only possible but also impossible. And when you repeat something over and over again, people begin to believe it. They cease inquiring about it, but they give up trying, not out of a lack of interest, but rather out of a sense of quiet defeat. They retreat. I recall reading about Eleanor, a widow who was 82 years old and had been through a lot, including challenges with her health, grief, and loneliness through her life. Numerous attempts were made by her granddaughter, who was just entering her 30s at the time, to get closer to her. She would inquire, offer to come visit, and even collaborate with you to prepare meals. On the other hand, whenever a more profound subject was brought up, Eleanor would shake her head and claim that you would not comprehend it. The reason her granddaughter eventually stopped asking was not because she didn't care. Rather, she felt as though she was being excluded, as if her presence wasn't sufficient. Her concern was not warranted. You might believe that you are relieving someone of the burden of your tale when you remark that you would not understand what they are saying. Nevertheless, the fact of the matter is that you are preventing them from showing up. By doing so, you are conveying to them that their compassion is not appreciated and that their efforts will not be sufficient. And by doing so, you are not only protecting yourself, But you are isolating yourself as well. The truth is that individuals do not need to have a complete comprehension of your experience in order to be interested in sharing it with you. The foundation of a connection is not complete comprehension, rather, it is presence, attentiveness, and concern for the other person. You are giving someone a gift when you give them the opportunity to attempt where they may sit with you in your reality. Even if they do not fully comprehend every detail, you try to bring them in closer. In the way that they are able to love you, you allow them to do so. Consequently, rather than suggesting that you would not comprehend, you may try something along the lines of, "It is difficult to explain, but I would like to share if you are open to hearing." With that transformation, everything is different. It makes room for that. This acknowledges not only your expertise but also their hard work. It encourages conversation, despite the fact that it is not flawless. Many individuals have a desire to be a part of your world. They do not intend to remove the emotional burden away from you but rather to assist you in carrying it with you wherever possible. Refrain from driving them away before they have even had the opportunity to enter the picture. Give them a chance. Allow them to be concerned. Allow them to comprehend in their own unique manner. I would appreciate it if you could use the 4th comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. Lastly, the expression, "I'm too old for that," at number 5. If I were to say that I am too old for that, it may feel like an honest statement, or even a fun one, but as time passes, it turns into a quiet resignation, a line drawn in the sand. The use of that term, particularly in the presence of people who care about you, not only prevents opportunities from being taken advantage of, but it also prevents connection from being made. It conveys the message that life is over, that it is no longer worth the effort to try anything new, to participate, or even to simply show interest in something. The people are aware of that. They are aware of it. Furthermore, they will eventually cease inviting you inside. Charles, who was 81 years old at the time, used to have a passion for music. When his friends decided to form a small community chorus, they approached him with the request to join them in singing. Just as he had done in the past, he stated, "I'm too old for that," without giving it any thought. It was not because they did not want him there that the offer was not extended again, rather, it was because he had communicated to them with that single phrase that his participation in the activity was no longer an option. Nevertheless, he failed to recognize that it was not about performance, rather, it was about presence, about sharing a moment, a joke, or a memory with another person. The statement, "I'm too old for that," may give the impression that you are attempting to set reasonable expectations for yourself. More often than not, however, it seems as though you have ceased considering yourself to be someone who is capable of experiencing delight, curiosity, or adventure. It communicates to other people that they should not anticipate anything from you. Moreover, despite the fact that this may give the impression of being secure, it is also extremely isolating. To tell you the truth, there is no time limit on the feeling of wonder. Learn something new, experiment with a different pastime, or participate in a conversation that is outside of your comfort zone. You are not too old to do any of these things. It is not too late for you to answer yes. When you do this, you serve as a reminder to both yourself and others that getting older is not about taking a step back. Stepping in a different manner is the key. You might want to consider saying something like, "That's new to me, but I'll give it a try," or perhaps giving me more information about it, rather than saying, "I'm too old for that." Those words do not bind you to anything, but they do keep the door open for new opportunities. The fact that you are still present, still involved, and still willing to stretch, even if just a little bit, is demonstrated by them. Someone with that kind of spirit is attractive to others. The purpose of this is not to prove anything. What matters is that you take part. It is about reminding other people that you still want to share the experience of being alive. Regardless of what your needs, your memory, or your energies might be doing on that particular day. As soon as you stop telling yourself, "I'm too old for that," you will begin to live in a manner that provides opportunities for other people to return to your life. In order to stop driving people away with your own limitations, you must first demonstrate to them that there is still a great deal more about you that they do not know. Additionally, that is a wonderful thing. Lastly, the sentence, "I don't matter anymore," comes in at number 6. When someone tells you, "I don't matter anymore," it is almost impossible to find anything more painful than that. It is the kind of phrase that comes out of your mouth in times of silence. When you know that you are not being seen or heard, or when you are uncertain of where you belong in the world. However, despite the fact that such emotions are legitimate, the words themselves have the potential to do long-term damage, not just to you but also to the people who care about you. The reason for this is that when you repeat something frequently enough, it starts to rewrite the tale of how other people perceive you. Your identity is replaced with a feeling of absence as a result of this. And the worst part is that it makes the people around you feel helpless. As if no amount of love or effort will ever do anything to reach you. I would want to tell you about Lorraine, who is 83 years old and has always been the rock upon which her family has been built. In the wake of the death of her husband and the deterioration of her health, she started making statements such as, "I don't matter anymore. My presence is merely occupying space here." During her visits, her son, her daughter-in-law, and even her grandchildren who were in their teenage years would attempt to engage her. They departed feeling a little more disappointed and unsure of how to reply each time she said it. But she continued to say it. They did not come less frequently over the course of time because they were neglectful, rather. It was because they were unable to figure out how to battle against a message that kept rejecting them. When you make the statement that you are not important, you remove yourself from the equation. You stifle your own voice by doing so. You may believe that you are merely expressing how you feel, but in reality, what you are doing is establishing an emotional distance between yourself and the other person. The people around you start to worry that they are not sufficient to lift you up. It seems as though they are failing you, despite the fact that they are making every effort to do so. In addition, that is a weighty item to transport. The following, however, is still the case. It does not matter how old you are important still. Not because of what you are capable of doing, but rather because of who you are. You are important. You are significant because your existence, your story, and your very presence all carry significance. You have had an impact on the lives of others. Your perseverance has been rewarded. You have extended your love. And even now, especially at this moment, your presence carries significance. Consider stating something like, "Sometimes I feel invisible, but I want to feel connected." This is a better alternative than expressing, "I don't matter anymore." The move in question is fair. Really, it is. However, it also extends an invitation to other people. In this way, they are able to meet you where you are, rather than being excluded from the conversation. As a result, it makes room for love and kindness to come into your life on their own. Your presence is not unnoticed. You are not out of the question. You are a beacon of light that others continue to seek, even at the times when you are at your most silent. Be careful not to diminish it with words that diminish your own value. Indeed, speak with sincerity, but do so with optimism as well, mostly due to the fact that your voice, your presence, and your story are still more important than you realize. I would appreciate it if you could use the 6th comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. My ideas about vinyl. As we come to the end of this video, I would want for you to pause for a moment and give some serious thought to the material that we have covered today. In addition to the 6 sentences themselves, the causes that underlie them are also important. The routines, the anxieties, and the subtle ways in which we sometimes disengage without even being aware of it. It's possible that 1 or 2 of these phrases struck a chord with you. It's possible that all 6 of them did it. But regardless of the circumstances, this is not about guilt. The issue is one of awareness. This is about coming to terms with the fact that the words we use, even the most gentle ones, carry power. They influence how other people perceive us. Moreover, they have a significant impact on the manner in which we enable other people to love us. It is possible that you will not be able to alter the past or the number of times that you have expressed views such as, "I am nothing but a burden," or, "What is the point?" The next moment, the next conversation, and the next opportunity you have to let someone in are all things that you have the ability to change. That is the most important takeaway. When you speak, you have the ability to either bring people closer to you or to subtly drive them away. In addition, you, my friend, still have the ability to influence the course that things take. This is the challenge that I have for you. You can choose any one of these phrases, and then decide whether or not to let it go. It should be replaced with something that allows the door to remain open. Something that demonstrates to other people that you are still there, still willing, and still deserving of relationship with them because you are. Furthermore, regardless of your age, your state of health, or the situations you find yourself in, the manner in which you speak about yourself has an effect on how the world reacts to you. We appreciate you being here with us today. It would be wonderful if you could get in touch with us. Please leave a comment below and tell us about one item you discovered today and how you intend to put it to use in your life right now. We place a high value on your opinions, so please do not be reluctant to share them with us. Our inspiration and encouragement are greatly increased as a result of reading your remarks. I would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it to be informative and enjoyable. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. We appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we hope to see you in the future video.